So clearly something is not right. So we've changed the ECU. We've in theory had the red key read to the ECU, but the bike's still not starting, and we can hear that it is doing some weird things which it never done before, by the way. So it sounds like it's got a spark because we can hear it almost popping and trying to ignite. What I'm going to do, go back to basics, going to get that battery out, put it on charge because it's clearly killing the battery, me trying to crank it over. And then I'm going to remove all the 4 plugs and have a good look at the plugs and make sure they're all clean and good. And then really, you know, it could be the reason we're not getting it to start now is that the plugs are all fouled up and sooted up, and that's why we're not getting a good spark for it to just ignite and get going. But I'm kind of clutching at straws here, but stay tuned to Dino's Garage, and hopefully we can get this FZ6 started. But stay tuned. So having removed these spark plugs, I've taken out 3 so far. All have been the same as per this one, which is very black, very sooty, and also appears to be wet with fuel. So it does kind of show us that fuel's getting through, but we're not getting a spark to ignite. Now we may not be getting a spark now, and as we heard when I was trying to crank the engine over, the bike was trying to sort of start doing something, but it may literally be because these plugs have failed so badly that they're not getting a decent spark. So what I need to do is clean these spark plugs up, put 3 of them back in, test one with the battery to see that I'm getting a decent spark. That would give us an indication that there is an ignition at least out, and you can see that all 4 spark plugs are very much what I would say failing, covered in black soot and really unlikely to create a decent spark. And what I'm about to do now, having put the battery on charge all night, and I know that's good to go, I'm going to connect the battery up and see if we get a good spark through the spark plug. 3 spark plugs are in, 1 is out on the HT lead, holding it safely with some insulated grips. I'm going to check and see if we got a decent spark on a bolt head there, and I'll show you now whether we have. So here goes, let's have a look. Hopefully you're picking that up on the camera, but I can see a decent spark coming through there. If we do have a decent spark, then we, in theory, you know, we got fuel going through the injectors. So I basically have, I'll just show you, I have my assistant here holding some cleaner, which is basically Red X, putting that under pressure to then push through the fuel line and come down here to the first injector. So the first injector, as I would demonstrate, is definitely working. Hopefully that's picking up on the camera, and you can see it looks initially like 2 jets, but they're actually 4-hole injectors, and the injector, or the fuel actually, is coming out of there. And if we just apply a bit of pressure to our Red X in that syringe, that will apply pressure through the fuel line, and we get a nice, I can just see the hint of red coming through. So that's the Red X putting pressure and clearly coming out of there. So I now need to do that to all 4. So I have taken out the fuel filter. That's obviously attached to the fuel pump. We know the fuel pump primes. Had to check that filter. It looked pretty clear, as did the fuel inside, as did the tank inside. So we then went through the throttle bodies. All the injectors have been tested and cleaned thoroughly, and I've cleaned the throttle bodies a little bit through as well. At the same time, throttle bodies are now back on the bike, cables connected, etc. And then we're back to the coils. So I did at one stage change this to supposedly new coils for an FZ6, and they were new coils. So tested those, and the resistance is not in spec. So what have I done? Tested the old coils. The resistance is in spec, as is the resistance at the lead ends. So I've put the old coils back on, the Denzos, connected them back up, checked the spark plugs again, checked the plug gaps again, adjusted the plug gaps to within 0.6 to 0.7, so there's a close tolerance there on the spark plug gaps. And right, so here we go. FZ6, will it start? We know what I've been through now, you've seen all the videos, so we're going to give it a go. I think this could be my last attempt at trying it, so let's have a go now, see what happens. So there, as we can see, is the low in the temperature gauge as opposed to high. Bike still doesn't start, but maybe you got some answers. You know, why would it go from high to low on the temperature gauge when it's clearly cold, but why when it's low and not flashing any longer will it still not start? Have you had this problem yourselves before? I really need some help, guys. I've done it all now, fuel, spark, the lot, still won't start. Almost pops and wants to go, but not going yet. I need your help, but as always, thanks for watching Dino's Garage.